My stepmother looked me straight in the eyes during a family dinner and said, "Give your bedroom to my son or pack your bags and leave this house tonight." The entire table fell silent. Nobody defended me. Nobody questioned her. They all believed I had just lost my home. What none of them knew was that I was about to walk away with something far more valuable. Within a few short weeks, the woman who threw me out would be the one forced to leave the house, while I started a brand new life in a home that truly belonged to me. My name is Madison Carter, and for years I believed that sacrificing my own happiness was the price of keeping my family together. After my father passed away, I stayed in the house he and my late mother had built with so much love. I thought honoring his memory meant protecting the family home, no matter how difficult life became. So I quietly paid the property taxes, covered expensive repairs, handled every utility bill, and even bought groceries while my stepmother, Brenda, and her son Tyler enjoyed a comfortable life without contributing much of anything. I never asked for recognition. I simply believed that family looked after one another. Unfortunately, they saw my kindness as an endless source of free money. Everything changed during what should have been an ordinary family dinner. Without warning, Brenda slammed her fork onto the table and announced that Tyler deserved my bedroom because it was larger. Then she looked directly at me and told me I had two choices. I could move into the tiny guest room or leave the house forever. Tyler leaned back in his chair with a satisfied smile, already acting like he owned the place. The silence around the table hurt even more then. Brenda cruel words because not a single person stood up for me. Instead of arguing or begging, I calmly placed my fork down, wished everyone a good evening, and walked upstairs to pack my belongings. Sometimes the strongest response is simply knowing when to walk away. That night, I checked into a small hotel, and for the first time in years, I experienced complete peace. There were no demands, no insults, and no expectations waiting for me behind the next door. Sitting on the edge of the bed, I opened my laptop and reviewed my finances. Years of working as a financial analyst had allowed me to save over $200,000. While everyone else believed they had left me with nothing, I realized I had everything I needed to build a new future. A close friend had been encouraging me for months to buy my own house, so I reopened the property listing she had sent me. It was a beautiful home overlooking the hills outside Portland, surrounded by tall trees and quiet nature. The next morning, I toured the property, and only a few days later, I signed the closing papers. Holding those keys in my hand felt like I was finally taking control of my own life. After moving into my new home, I met with an experienced, estate attorney to settle questions about my father's property. Brenda had spent years acting like she was the sole owner of the family house, but the legal records revealed something she never expected. Since my father never changed the ownership before his passing, I legally owned half of the property. Based on its market value, my share alone was worth $250,000. Even more satisfying, my attorney explained that Brenda never had the legal authority to throw me out in the first place. Her confidence had been built on nothing more than false assumptions. Without wasting any time, my attorney prepared a formal legal notice demanding that Brenda either buy my half of the house within 30 days or agree to sell the property. We both knew she had no stable income, terrible credit, and absolutely no way to qualify for a mortgage. The moment those papers were delivered, the illusion she had created around herself began to collapse. Only a few days later, Brenda sent me a message demanding $200 for Tyler. Birthday celebration? Along with the message came a long shopping list filled with expensive food, premium steaks, imported drinks, and luxury desserts. Reading it actually made me laugh because she still believed I was responsible for financing their lives. That was when I remembered both of them were still using the credit cards connected to my account. I opened my banking application, removed them as authorized users, and canceled their cards within seconds. It did not take long before my phone started ringing. Tyler was standing at the grocery store checkout when his payment was declined. He yelled, demanded answers, and insisted I fix what he called a banking mistake. I calmly explained there was no mistake at all. I had simply decided I was no longer paying for his lifestyle. Minutes later, Brenda called, accusing me of humiliating her family and abandoning my responsibilities. I reminded her that she had already thrown me out of the house, so she no longer had any right to expect my financial support. Then I ended the call without another word. That same afternoon, the legal notice arrived at their front door. Suddenly, the confident woman who had ordered me out became desperate. My phone filled with nonstop calls, emotional voice messages, and promises that everything had been one big misunderstanding. She begged me to meet and work things out as a family, but I agreed only if my attorney attended the meeting as well. When we met at a crowded coffee shop, Brenda immediately started crying loudly, hoping everyone around us would see her as the victim. My attorney remained completely calm. He placed the property records, inheritance documents, and years of financial statements across the table. Every excuse Brenda tried to make fell apart as the evidence proved exactly who had been paying for the house all those years. Before leaving, I handed Tyler another document. The car he had been driving for the past 2 years was leased entirely under my name, and I had officially canceled the agreement. I politely asked him to place the keys on the table. His face turned pale as he realized I was completely serious. Without saying another word, he slowly handed them over. A few weeks later, the family home was sold for its full market value. I received my rightful inheritance of $250,000, while Brenda was left with far less than she had expected. Without my financial support, she could no longer afford the comfortable lifestyle she had enjoyed for years. She and Tyler eventually moved into a small apartment on the outskirts of the city. Later, I learned Tyler had dropped out of college to work full-time, while Brenda worked long retail shifts just to pay the rent. The luxury they believed they deserved disappeared because of the very greed that had pushed me out of the house. As for me, I blocked both of their numbers and never looked back. Every morning, I now sit on the deck of my new home with a cup of coffee, watching the sunrise over the hills and enjoying the peace I once thought I would never have again. Looking back, I realized my father's greatest gift was never the house or the inheritance. It was teaching me to respect myself enough to walk away from people who never respected me. The best revenge was never yelling, arguing, or trying to make them understand. It was quietly building a happier life while they were forced to face the consequences of their own choices. Sometimes losing toxic people is not the end of your story. It is the moment your real life finally begins.